Hey guys, welcome back. So last time what we did is get this header section styled, okay, well we applied some style to it. What we're going to do now is style the text box and also this button. So hopefully after this video, it'll look a bit more like this, alright? So going back to here, go to the sources tab and then find the style.css page again. And then underneath there, what we're going to do is say .header content and then we'll say .search bar container. Alright, and I can see I've made an uppercase O right there. Search bar container. Okay, great. Now if I go back to elements right here and select the search bar container div, you'll see we have this blank one right here. And let's type it here because it has a bit better autocomplete right here. So let's do it. And let's start by giving it a height of 44 pixels. Alright, so 44 pixels of height. Alright, so you can see if I hover over it, yeah, now it's 44 pixels of height. We also want to say border radius is going to be 2 pixels. Remember, the border radius is going to be the curve of the corners. You won't see anything with this yet, okay, but you will very, very shortly. Let's give it a background color of FFF, which is white. So hopefully you'll be able to see things a little bit better now. It's still not very easy to see, really, but when we add the shadow, it will be a bit easier. But you can see we have some curve right there, so that's what we have at the moment. So let's add the box shadow, and rather than copying all this out again, if I go back to the sources tab, just go to the style sheet. If I scroll down, we have this box shadow right here. Let's copy that. I don't really want to type all of that out again. We want to use the exact same box shadow value. So I've copied all of that. Going back to here, and let's just paste it in there. So I've pasted it, and you can see we have this box shadow now, okay? And you're probably wondering, why aren't we doing this to this text box? Because what you might have noticed is we're making this one right here look like a text box. If I go back to here, you'll see this right here, and you see the text box, it looks like that. But what is actually happening is a text box is inside of this white box right here. So this white part with the shadow isn't actually a text box, it's actually just a container, all right, just a div. But we've styled it to look like a text box, so the user will think it's a text box. And the reason we've done that is because we want this button to be inside. If I show you the home page where we actually have used the text box here, we wouldn't be able to put this button inside of there very easily, alright? So it just makes things a bit easier because we want this button to be right up against there to look like it's inside of the text box. Alright, just like this, okay? But again, this will become very clear to you very shortly. So let's go ahead and give this a width of 70%, just carrying on. You can see it's a bit shorter now, which is great, but we want a max width of 630 pixels, and this is very similar to what we did when we did the homepage text box. We also want to say box sizing is going to be border box. So again, this means that when we add any padding, it will take that into account when it calculates the width. And then finally, we want to say display flex. Okay, so it means that the children, so the elements inside of this will start to use all of the available space it has. So you can see already this button has switched to fill all of the available height that it has. If I disable that real quick, you'll see it goes back to that. But because I give it display flex, it fills up all of the height it has, and the same for the text box. Okay, great. That's looking good. Back to style.css in the sources tab. At the bottom, we're going to go and style the text box itself now. So this one right here. Underneath that, we're going to say header content, and then search bar container, and then finally search box, like that. And this is the text box itself. And then if I go and select it in here, you can see we have this blank one here again. I'm sure you're very familiar with this now though. So we'll start off by saying flex 1. So because we give the parent display flex, it means that the children, i.e. these two elements inside, we can specify flex 1, which means it's going to fill up all of the available space it has, which is why this text box has now filled up all of the available space it has to it. So the search button has taken up this much space, and the text box has taken up everything else. That's what this does, is use all of the remaining space you have. Okay, then we want to say border none, like that, because the border is going to be taken care of by this text box, because the border is going to be taken care of by this div right here, all right? So you don't actually know there's a text box in there at the moment. You think that this part's a text box. And then finally, we want to say background color is going to be transparent. This won't look like it will do anything right now, but this is just in case, I don't know, maybe you want to change the background color of this later on. We've just said transparent. So you don't actually need to add that really, but it's a good a precaution to take should you want to change the color later on. Let's then say padding is going to be 12 pixels. Okay, if I hover over that now, you'll see we have this green padding area around there. And if I type in this search box, you'll see the space around. That's what the padding does. If I disable the padding, you'll see it goes right up against the edge. But adding the padding, it kind of pushes it away from the edge a little bit. Just two more things to add here. We're going to increase the font size. So font size is going to be 16, so a fairly large font. And then we want the color to be a complete black. This is a kind of slight gray, you know, it is black, but it's like a lighter black. So let's give it a complete black. We'll just say color, which is the font color, and let's just say $000, which is the color for black. And that's looking good. And we'll leave it there. What we're going to do in the next video is do this button itself, which will involve getting the image to use in the button. Okay, so good place to start. But again, before we stop, make sure you do remember to copy your new changes. So these two at the bottom, like I said, or copy the whole CSS file and just paste your new changes in there so that when you refresh the page, you should still see your changes.